Take a look.
Hello, it is Friday, March 29th. Time to get in the weeds. A solo edition of In the Weeds, apparently. I got one co-host who can't show up for work. I got another co-host who's 5 minutes late for work. And I decided I can't let the fans wait any longer. I had to be here. I had to give the people what they want. So I'm here. I'm here by myself for now. I don't know if anybody else is going to show up. I don't know when anybody else is going to show up. But I'm here, everybody, and I've been here. I want the record to show. I have been here. I've been waiting. I'm Will Smith, just looking around. Where's everybody at? No idea. I got a co-host and by the name of Joel, who is in the chat. I see him right here. They're already late. Joel creates this thumbnail that is getting me that's going to get me heat because it is, wasting Moné. The crew is going to come after me. I assume that Joel paid off SP3. So I could only do this show by myself so that SP3 wouldn't get any heat from this and that I would get all the heat from wasting Moné because I'm the only person on the screen. I'm the only person who's going to talk about it. I think this is an elaborate ruse by Joel and SP3 to get the crew after me. And you know what? I'm not going to play into their games. I'm not having that. This is the millennium of Aftermath. Ain't going to be nothing after that. Give me one more platinum plaque. F-rap. Y'all can have it back. I'm not going to fall for the wasting Moné thumbnail there, Joel Pearl, because I don't think it is a waste of Moné. And I'll explain to you why. Good. Okay. Oh, see, as I was trying to say, it's really bad when the internet cuts out and then there's no one else to pick up the slack there. Then the show really falls off a cliff. I don't even know what the last thing I said was. Anyway, we're here. We're around. We're here to do things, allegedly. We'll see. Everyone bombard SP3 with messages and tell him he's a coward. Tell him, why doesn't he show up for work? Why doesn't Joel show up for work? You know what? That's actually fitting. Let the point stand. Let it sit. Let the people digest that comment. And then we're back to talk about it. We'll talk about AEW. We'll talk about Smackdown tonight, which appears to be a show. Talk about what do you guys want to talk about? I'm going to do the Sean bit where I need a bunch of super chats to steer the conversation. I don't have a co-host at this point. So send in your super chats and let's get the conversation going with everything. If y'all want my thoughts on Mercedes Moné, just go back and watch the Spotlight. What if I just re-aired the Spotlight episode from yesterday? Just do that. Look at the cat. The cat's, and you see the cat jumping up in the background there? My God. Cat doesn't want to be on screen anymore. Cat's probably trying to get out of here. All right. A-Shark says Bischoff in ratings. You know who I should send this to? What is John Alba doing? Let's see if John Alba wants to join. He doesn't have a job anymore, right? John Alba's got nothing better to do with his life. He sunsetted one of his podcasts. He's got nothing to do today. It's Friday. He's watching the Yankees. I said, I have no co-host. He said, what happened? I said, Joel and SP3 suck. That's my reply. Aren't you live now? Yes, I'm reading these texts on air. Corey, you should be working. That's what Corey is doing. Corey's working. John Alba is a hunk. I said it. I'll read what's on the teleprompter. All right, let's get to some super chats. Sajizzle says, Mercedes segments had extraordinary growth for those quarter hours and kept the audience around for the whole women's match. Seems like it worked to me. You're biased, Sajizzle. All right, John Alba might be joining us here in a few minutes. Somebody with some professionalism around here. Speed Punk, Jeremy, you're doing a good job being solo today. Thanks for being here. You know, somebody's got to show up. Somebody's got to show up. A long night last night, working late as usual, staying up late to watch basketball, the tournament, everything. Still showing up on time here for work. Chi-Town Spurs, it's Friday. He ain't got no job. Yeah. John Alba didn't get fired on his day off, at least. Like, he still did the podcast after, you know, they sunsetted it. I love that that's the term Tony Khan used, was sunsetting. Amazing. Here's what I've done this morning, everybody. Vince McMahon offloaded some stock. This happened yesterday. He sold about 3.5 million shares for about $100 million. So he's going to keep making money off of this. It's the sad reality of it. He has so much stock tied into this that he's just going to keep selling it, and he's going to keep getting paid despite doing no work and despite everything horrible against him, all these allegations against him. The man's already rich. He'll keep profiting, and it's a sad reality that we all live in. The only possible good thing to come out of this is it is a federal investigation, and maybe he will serve jail time. But he's already lived multiple lives, given all that he's done and accomplished. And jail time at 76, however old he is now. Punishment don't fit the crime. Martha Hart commented on the lawsuit. She was on News Nation with Ashley Bainfield, and she said they were horrific. She said, here, I'll get you the exact quote here. Pull this up. WWE has had many lawsuits and bad press. She read all of the lawsuit. It's absolutely horrific. The level of wickedness that is described is beyond the pale in that complaint. Anyone with a shred of humanity would find the indigent acts just incomprehensible, frankly. It wasn't a shock that there's another lawsuit, but the level of depravity certainly was. I can tell you that anyone that takes advantage of a vulnerable person is the most despicable type of person, because these are the people that need to be supported and protected, not exploited. By Janelle Grant's own admission, she was a vulnerable person. She was unemployed. Her parents had passed away. She was suffering grief. She was on the brink of financial collapse. These are the makings of a very vulnerable person. Martha Hart obviously has a long history of dealing with WWE on good side, as when Owen was a prominent fixture in the company and featured fairly regularly. And then obviously the not so good side with Owen's tragic passing and the lawsuit that came out of that, the wrongful death lawsuit. Martha and WWE ended up settling for $18 million, roughly a year and a half after Owen's death. Martha did mention that, she fought WWE, but they're a $1 billion company. They got a lot of resources. They got a lot of time on their hands. They're going to keep delaying things. They're going to keep throwing money at the problem. And regular people can't exactly fight that. And that's why settlements happen. Because you're not gonna, it's very tough to take down an entire corporation as a singular entity. When you don't have that kind of money, you don't have those kind of funds, I don't want to say willpower, but there is a lot of mental anguish that goes into these kind of lawsuits. You got to relive a lot of this stuff. She tells Janelle Grant, I would just say, stay the course. Her claim is very credible, and I would be steadfast in my convictions and don't back down. And these are very easy things to say for someone like Janelle Grant to actually do. It might be a lot tougher. I hope she does. I hope she does what's best for her, I should say. Because it's going to be difficult, depending on how far this lawsuit goes, to just relive everything, to rehash everything, to maybe even see Vince in person again. These are not difficult, or these are not easy things to do. They're very difficult. Now, the federal investigation, different story. That's something where, she might settle, but still under investigation by the feds. They ain't settling nothing. They're going to do what they can. They're going to fight. They're going to uncover everything they need to uncover, and they got the power to fight all that. They ain't worried about the mental anguish that goes into it. They ain't worried about the funds that go into it. They will go toe to toe. It's a 5-minute video with Martha Hart commenting on everything. Encourage everyone to listen to it. Yeah, I don't know why people would dismiss Martha as bad. I mean, I do know why. It's dumb, honestly. It's very foolish to dismiss Martha's comments. My cat is desperately trying to escape the room. Wants nothing to do with this show. Even the cat doesn't want to show up to work. My God. Very, very foolish to just dismiss Martha as being bitter. If anything, you should pay more attention to Martha, because she is someone who has had dealings with WWE in a courtroom. She knows what it's like to go through this. She knows what it's like just to deal with Vince McMahon in this type of setting. So I pay more attention to her than this is no knock on any other wrestler. But I'd pay more attention to her than certain wrestlers who were in WWE, had their experience, and maybe now are saying something about Vince or Laurinaitis. Everybody's got their own personal experience with it, but somebody brought up Teddy Long, calling out John Laurinaitis. Like, I'm sure John Laurinaitis, he's named in the lawsuit. Sure, he wasn't the greatest person in the world. I'm going to put more stock into Martha Hart's words than Teddy Long's words. That's just me personally. If you want to put more stock into Teddy Hart's, then fine. Or Teddy Long's, sorry, not Teddy Hart's. But yeah, I would put a lot of stock into what Martha has to say. Jared saying, how is anyone surprised by anything Vince has done? People are people. I can't really go further than that. I'm not surprised that people are defending Vince. I'm not really surprised by people. I don't know if that's I'm just not surprised by people. people they're going to have opinions on stuff. And I'm not surprised by anything he does. We've seen enough of it. We've seen enough of it. This cat, Legia. The cat's name is Legia, everybody. Just wants to escape this room so bad. Can't get out. Sad times. I'd let the cat out, but then there would be nobody on the show. And we can't have that. Jarrett, oh, well, yes, Corey, the unmistakable cat scratching at the door. Yes. Jarrett saying, I like that I still have the capacity to be surprised by people. Actually, hey, look, you know what? That's probably that's okay. That's okay that you still have the capacity to be surprised by people. That I feel like that means you still see good in people. And I'm just like, everyone sucks. Everyone just sucks. To get one of these 12 children to let this cat out. You'd think with all these kids, they would be able to do something. But no. Ryan saying, I wonder if Vince is selling all that stock to gear up for all the legal battles. Possible. I mean, he's got plenty of money. It's not like he needs more, but it's possible. He's gearing up for that. The door is opened, and now the cat doesn't want to go out. Now, all of a sudden, the door gets opened, and the cat who's been scratching at the door, this is riveting commentary, doesn't want to go out. Thank you. Oh, I don't know if that voice came through. There you go. All right, the cat has been let out. How far are the Avs going in the playoffs, says Ryan. I don't know. First round exit, I assume. That's what I always assume. First round exit. That's where I'm at with everything. Just they're going to be out in the first round. Lost last night to the Rangers. Terrible loss. I said the Rangers are good. Can't say that. The loss to Montreal was terrible. Terrible loss. Lost to Montreal. All right. Do we want to talk about Mercedes? Do we want to get into the Mercedes conversation? Chi-Town Spurs says, on Mercedes, I think having her audibly and visibly pop for all the women in the match was a good idea. You want the fan base she is bringing to get on board with the rest of the women's roster. Again, Joel is making a clickbait thumbnail, which fine. I hope people click and listen to this show. It's our worst show ever, but I hope people click and listen to this show. Joel's making this clickbait thumbnail to get me in trouble. Saying waste of Moné because they did less than, what was the viewership? 747, right? I think that's what it did yesterday. The demo rating was down. They still finished third on the night behind NBA on ESPN. We do all hate Joel. Chi-Town Spurs. We really do. So I think it finished third on the night behind NBA on ESPN. Joel's making this clickbait thumbnail. I don't think it's a waste of Moné or money to do the CEO dance in the Big Dick Bob Fish shirt. CEO. I got to get John Alba on here to do the CEO dance. That would be great television/radio. I don't think it's a waste of Moné. Now, do I think, oh, look at this. Oh, John Alba.
Don't you say I don't love you.
John
Don't
Alba,
you ever say that.
dance with me.
What's that?
The CEO. CEO.
So you dragged me on here at 10:25 in the morning to do a
CEO.
CEO dance with you?
Yeah. CEO. Come on,
I don't
John
even have
Alba.
my hair done.
CEO. 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 How are you, buddy?
It's been a week, I'll tell you that.
Just casual John Alba with the backwards baseball cap as well.
Yeah. Uh-huh. See, I see Chi-Town Sports saying 10:30 is not early. Here's the thing. I got to bed at like 4:35 in the morning, and and so these are early hours for me, but
don't. I mean, you can blame me a little bit. That's fine. But
I'm not saying you woke me up. You didn't wake me up. I'm exporting another version of the final, the sunsetting edition of Strictly Business right now. So.
Well, I apologize, but really the culprits here are Joel Pearl, who doesn't show up for work, and SP3, who claims he was going to show up for work and then didn't show up.
Just like straight up didn't show up?
Yeah, I don't know where he is. I hope he's okay, honestly, because SP3 is usually very good about.
He's pretty on top of stuff. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, being here, and now like I haven't heard from him for like an hour now, so I'm a little concerned about him.
Slightly concerning for sure.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you you joining me.
What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, how you been? How you been the past couple of days?
It's definitely been an interesting 48 hours, I'll tell you that.
What happened?
Sometimes you're just out to lunch with a friend and you get a phone call that says, "Hey, this is done." And then you post something really nice about it, and then at 4 a.m. a billionaire tweets you directly and calls you a fraud. So it was a really cool 48
Did he
hours.
call you a fraud? Or
I mean, he said it was a fraudulent podcast responding to my post, which would pretty much, using the transitive property, insinuate that I'm a fraud. Now, I want to put this out there. This is all under the water. Everything's under the bridge. Is that the term? Yeah. Not under the water. Everything's under the bridge.
It's drowning. Like everybody's drowning.
I feel that. But no, I mean, it's all whatever at this point. It's fine. It just was I think that what was a little disappointing when it happened was just that if anyone has ever even listened to one episode of that show, that I always was extremely fair and would often go to bat for things that I felt were unfairly prompted or put out there. And so to have that response was very disappointing. But I will say it was really, really nice because for the first time ever, I think the internet was largely in my favor on something, and it was really nice to see some of the support that came out after it. So I was very appreciative of that.
I think most people, I'm sure it wasn't 100%, never is. I think most people saw it as Tony and Eric going at it.
I definitely think so. But, here's the reality. It's something that I poured a lot of time and resources into doing the right way. And the way that I looked at it was because I've had people be like, well, you're platforming Eric's wild takes. Eric's going to have that platform no matter what, right? Like he's going to have that platform whether I exist in the first place or if I don't. And I was assigned that show. So I said, okay, let's take this as a challenge and let's try to do the most productive conversation we can do and have pushback. And I felt like I at least tried to deliver on that end of things. And Eric, to his credit, was really, really good to me. So I can't, like, even stuff that people don't know about publicly. So I take it as a positive experience that anytime you work with someone who's very polarizing, there's going to be some challenges. But overall, I think if you listen to it, you got what was a fair show, which is what I strive to do.
I think anyone who I don't know how much Tony Khan actually listened to the podcast.
Probably not often.
Or if he just saw the, you know,
I think he
the
probably
takes.
saw your headlines.
Yeah, just saw the takes. Truthfully, like, I love you, John. The Matt Hardy podcast, I've praised that plenty of times. I tell you how great that is. The Bischoff podcast, I could sometimes listen to. I didn't write a lot about it because I truthfully, I don't care about Eric's opinions on
I get it.
the business of AEW.
I get it entirely. And, you know, Simeon posted something there that is exactly the point. Like, he says people mischaracterize you as being Brian Last to Bischoff's Cornette. And that was exactly the opposite of what we're trying to do. Because, you know, you could have the Cornettes, you could have the Russos where their co-hosts just like laugh at everything they say and lap it up. But that was very much not what we tried to do. So, I get it, man. Listen, his style is not for everyone. His takes aren't for everyone. But the way I looked at it is that there were things that when you could get Eric locked in, he has a lot of things he can offer. My goal was to try to open his viewpoint as to what wrestling can be in 2024. I think there were some things I was successful on, and I think there were some things I certainly wasn't. And that's just how it is, you know?
Going back to my original point, anyone who listened to the show, I think, could walk away with an understanding that you were not just out like parroting and trumpeting Bischoff's opinion. It was a very give and take, a very challenging podcast in a good way.
It's the hardest product I've ever done in my entire life. It was the most challenging experience I've ever had as a broadcaster. And I mean that. And that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. It really made me a better broadcaster. And this is true. It got me my network gig that I have right now. The head of SNY talent was a fan of Strictly Business, and he reached out to me. So I can't complain about that. I'm very grateful for that. You know, I could have done without the 4 a.m. tweet, but yeah, it's fine.
You just said you're up until 4:15 every day.
Well, yeah. So here's the thing. So I this is actually very funny. So I probably hopped off, and thank you, Kanan, for that. I tried to like power down a little early that night. I like maybe around 3 o'clock. I shut my laptop, put my phone off to the side. Let's try some serenity. Serenity now and sanity later, as George Costanza would encounter. And I got a call at around 7:30 in the morning from an AEW talent,
Brian Danielson,
who said who?
Brian Danielson.
Brian Danielson, who
that's
said
the bit on this show. Everybody's Brian Danielson.
He said you're suspended, but also you should check your Twitter right now. So I did, and yeah, it was thousands of notifications. Really fun.
Yeah, I woke up, I saw Tony's response, and then I saw a little everybody else responding. And again, for the most part, it was a lot of like, please don't disparage John Alba for Eric Bischoff's takes.
Yeah, and like I said, yeah, like it was all discussed and smoothed over. It just and I want to thank, because there were a lot of people who went out of their way for me. So I really, really am very appreciative, including Sean, who really went out of his way for me as far as the situation is concerned. So that was very kind and appreciated for sure. Just what a world.
It's the worst.
I said Eric and I both had something in common. We both had different billionaires dance over our graves as we lost work. Just crazy. Wild.
I did see your dating profile that turned into a work profile.
Pretty good, right?
Yeah, it was good. Are you really only 5'10"? Is that true?
Yeah, I'm 5'10".
I thought you were taller.
You have seen me in person.
I know. That's why I thought you were taller.
No. I mean, the hair might add a little extra.
Maybe that's what it is.
No, dude, I'm 5'10" on a good day. I'm Brian Danielson size. Brian, what I'm saying is Brian Danielson and I are basically the same person. We're built entirely the same.
Caden did send a super chat, says John does great work and great karaoke.
Thank you. Caden was at my birthday Royal Rumble weekend when I Did Brandy, you're a fine
Katie got
girl.
invited to your birthday and I didn't?
Well, I did
Jeez.
an open invite and Kaden showed up.
Oh.
But Kaden was more than welcome to show up. And you were invited by virtue of open invite. You were invited.
Kaden shows up even when he's not invited.
Kaden does show up to pretty much everything. If I'm at a wrestling event, I can guarantee that I will encounter Kaden at some point.
Ryan Sullivan says, okay, but when I trash it in the weeds, it's very clear I'm targeting Joel. It's not about the show. It's about Joel. So it wasn't the show. It was about Eric. Do you want to... So I don't know if you've seen the headline for this show, John. Or not the headline, sorry, the thumbnail.
Is this the sunsetting edition of In the Weeds?
It might be after that first half hour where I tried to go solo. And the biggest story was my cat trying to escape the room. But the thumbnail for this, Joel Pearl is a giant troll because he knew it was going to be here. It's a picture of Mercedes with the caption, wasting Moné. Of course, like that's not going to play well with the crew. But
now I got to get ready for another tweet at 4 a.m. That's going to be like...
What are you doing associating with this show?
Yeah.
It's not about you, John. It's about me.
No,
who are you to question the point?
Who am I to question the point? God, it's true.
What are your thoughts on Mercedes Moné and how she's been booked in AEW so far? You want to get in more trouble?
Life is such a bit. It's unbelievable.
It is.
No, listen. Yes, Alex, you're right. That 70-year-old singing Uptown Funk was nuts. But yeah, for me, Mercedes is such a good heel. She is such a good shit talker. And that's what adds to the, CEOs aren't good people. CEOs are generally pretty bad people. That's why we have income disparity in the United States. I know Joel doesn't have that up in Canada, so maybe that's why he put that as the thumbnail, but it's very weird seeing her portrayed as a babyface right now. I understand that she was going to come in, she was going to get the positive reception because people were excited to see her there, but that doesn't mean that's something you have to sustain. She doesn't fit well within the mold and context of a babyface in this company, in this role. And I think I'd love to see her take charge as a top heel, run the division, and you build a top babyface to come and eventually strike her down. You build a Willow Nightingale. You build someone of that nature who can lead the division as your top protagonist. So I feel like that's what Mercedes' role should be. And right now we're just not seeing that. I don't know about you. I cannot get on board at all with these shades of Willow where it's oh, is she kind of heelish? To me, she's a clear-cut babyface. She's going to be one of those career-long babyfaces, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you're really good at it and you can form that connection with an audience, why change that? So I'm hoping that eventually in the near future we see Mercedes just try and lean fully into a heel presentation.
The babyface dynamic is something, AEW's done fairly often. I've always kind of criticized that their babyface heel splits aren't as good as I would like them to be, certainly. But in the case with Mercedes, they're CM Punking her right now. You do the big debut, build the show around her. Everyone's happy to see her. She's happy to be there. She's, Willow Nightingale is basically her Darby right now. Darby was a babyface. There's obviously a big difference in that Punk was gone for nearly a decade and then came into the company. I also think Darby had a cachet with the audience that, as much as I do like Willow, isn't really there with her. And with the way Mercedes is talking about her in they have the history with the last match that Mercedes had where she hurt her ankle, but Mercedes is kind of healing her and was it an accident? Did I slip? Did you push me? Was it intentional? Type of thing. And yeah, you mentioned the shades of gray Willow. Oh, is she going to hit her with the chair? I don't think that works in the same way it kind of worked with Punk and Darby, where Punk came in and was I respect you. If I was growing up right now, you'd be my favorite wrestler. I want to see if I still got it against you. This is why I've chosen to wrestle you. Where you're trying to play a story with Mercedes and Willow, but the dynamics of the story don't exactly fit what the characters are right now.
I think they are trying to navigate that early portion of the story more than anything else and get a temperature for things. My belief as far as baby faces and heels go is you can have character motivations, but an audience is ultimately going to dictate for you what a character truly is. When the Acclaimed were getting super hot and they were heels, they were baby faces because the crowd was cheering for them. They wanted to see them succeed. In the eyes of the viewer, they were the protagonist. Therefore, when you have instances like that, it is hard, pardon me, it is hard to pigeonhole people into very specific roles. If this is what you're going to be, this is what you're going to be, this is what you're going to be, especially with someone like Mercedes, who really garners big reactions wherever she goes, regardless of what that reaction is. I think that you can sway an audience to feel a certain way if you're providing compelling storytelling. And in order for AEW to provide compelling storytelling with Mercedes Moné, I think they need to begin to very clearly dictate what her direction as a character is going to be. And I believe the crowd will follow suit. It just, I don't know, Jeremy. Her coming in, it's a big deal on the surface, but it almost, my perception, it almost doesn't seem like she appears comfortable in the role that she's currently cast in yet. Maybe that's just
It's
my perception.
I think her promo and her talking has always felt a little, I don't use this in a bad way, but scripted. It's always like, even when she was in WWE, it was very much hit catchphrases. I'm the legit boss. I'm gonna make a bank statement. Whatever. She just hit catchphrases. That's very much what she did with a lot of her promos. And it's feeling kind of the same way here. The first promo was good. It was a mission statement. She got her feelings out
Mhm.
there and everything. But since then, it's felt a little bit sort of the same.
Well,
The
well,
commentary stint.
and it's like what I was saying too, Jeremy. Like she is a great shit talker, and
Yeah,
I don't just mean cutting a promo. I think one of the most underappreciated elements of a heel in a wrestling match is the shit talking they do in down spots, in moments to build heat. When an opponent is on the ground selling, when the heel is out there talking smack and garnering heat, building that anticipation to the babyface comeback. There are people who are good at it and there are people who are great at it. And I think if you watch a lot of Mercedes matches when she's a heel, she's fantastic at it. Roman Reigns is one of the best shit talkers out there when it comes to killing time in the matches and garnering that heat. Rock is really good when he's a heel doing stuff like that. I think that if you allow her to channel that, you will really see her find her stride, find her confidence, and maybe that in turn can propel her traditional promo work to another level. I think that that would benefit her very, very well.
I'm very curious what the first match with her looks like, because it seems like they're setting up Willow. Willow wins the TBS title, and then you do Mercedes and Willow for the title. I would like that. That seems like a pay per view match. I would happen to guess that she has some type of match on Dynamite before that. I don't think you're holding that off until Double or Nothing. Am
Well, no,
I?
well, there's Dynasty.
Well, okay, but she's not wrestling Willow at Dynasty, so because Willow's facing Julia Hart at Dynasty,
Yeah,
unless
I
they're
know,
going to make that
but
a
I'm
triple
saying,
threat.
like that's not to say you can't get her some sort of a
Right.
showcase match before that.
I think that would be a smart move, by the way, is to have her at Dynasty. But
Mhm.
Weiss saying Statlander, yeah, I mean that makes sense because Statlander is kind of like Willow shading towards the heel side. Caden saying Sky Blue, another one that kind of makes sense. A
Sky
tag
Blue
team
would make a
match.
lot of sense.
I mean, you could possibly do some type of tag team match or a women's trios match to just sort of showcase her. I don't know where she's at coming off the ankle injury. She said she's cleared. So, okay, she's cleared, but she also hasn't wrestled since May of last year. do you throw her back in there in a singles match, or do you let her get her feet under a little bit in a tag team or a trios match?
Sure. Sure. I mean, there's a multitude of options. And honestly, let's call a spade a spade. It's very possible that we see Mercedes in the ring on Dynamite in order to give a little boost. The numbers have not been great since the pay-per-view. And I think it's not out of the realm of possibility that we could see her in-ring debut happen on TV.
Yeah, and her quarters have been good. The
Oh
crew
yeah,
is
I'm not
coming
talking
through.
about her. I'm
Yes,
talking
yes,
about
I know.
generally speaking. Mhm.
Yes, I know. We got to clarify the crew. The crew, John. The Mercedes quarters have been good. Chi-Town Spurs says, I agree with John, but I think this portrayal leads to a heel after Willow wins the belt. She was never going to get booed on the debut. I also think that Okada coming in and him immediately turning heel, I don't know if they wanted to do sort of back-to-back big debut heels in that way. They had Ospreay come in. He was a babyface, but he was already kind of there even before he announced his signing way back in November. So it was obviously a big debut, but it didn't feel like this was the first time you're seeing Will Ospreay like it obviously was with Okada on a full-time basis and Mercedes. So I don't think they wanted to do back-to-back heels with those two.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that, but also again, you can easily introduce someone as a baby face and then start your character progression. Like if you know the crowd's going to cheer, just lean into that, roll with it, and then begin your character journey. I don't have an issue with that. Plus, I don't think this is 1993 where people are, oh, I'm not going to tune in to see the heel. I'm only going to tune in to see the babyface. They're going to tune in to see characters they're interested in. So I don't think it really matters what the presentation of your top stars is in that context.
Remonty saying what happened to Serena Deeb seemed like they were setting her up for Mercedes. Well, The Rock stole the final boss nickname, and then they're like,
That's
"Oh, we can't get away.
it.
Can't use that anymore."
That's
Serena
exactly
Deeb
it.
would have been a good first opponent for
Oh yeah,
Mercedes, by the way,
certainly
because
so.
Serena will be a dickish heel of, hey, let's manipulate the ankle. Let's do a lot of technical joint manipulation stuff. Mercedes fighting from underneath and then coming back against Serena in
It's
a
this
valiant
weird
babyface.
it's this weird juxtaposition with Mercedes in the ring because I was talking about how great of a heel she is, but her selling is next. I mean, I think she's one of the greatest women sellers ever. Period, and one of the greatest sellers in wrestling history. She's amazing at it, and you can look at that twofold. You could say, well, that's a great way to get heat on a heel, or you could say that's a great way to feed a comeback for a babyface. She's really, really good at both, and that's what makes Mercedes, in my opinion, one of the greatest women's wrestlers of all time, if not again one of the best wrestlers. Period. She's from an in-ring standpoint, she's just fantastic.
Yeah, I think she's the best American female that I've ever seen. I haven't
Very
watched enough.
possibly.
I haven't watched enough Shoshi to say she's better than a lot of those women. Good to see more at Stardom and ROH working together, so that'd be good. Yeah, that's where we're at with Mercedes here. Clearly, they spent about 1 million too much on her. Should have only given her 2.5 million instead of 3.5.
Well, Moné talks.
I think that's where we're at on it. Anything else from Dynamite that you liked, didn't like, John Alba?
No, honestly, I don't really have many thoughts on it. I don't know, I'm gonna get in trouble. I don't want to. It's fine.
Nobody
fine.
watches this show. It's okay.
It's fine. I'm good.
What do you think about Swerve? Do you think Swerve should win the title?
Yes, okay. I do think this is the time for Swerve. I think that you run the risk, and this is something that AEW has missed a few times. Someone gets white hot organically, and the fans are just ready to see the trigger pulled on them. And then it doesn't quite happen at the right time, if at all. And I think Swerve, if you were to elongate this much longer, I think it'll start to cool down. Now's the time to do it. And Joe's a really good person to feed him for that.
I'm with you. And yeah, the crowd has anointed Swerve, so you got to kind of pull the trigger on that.
But there have been plenty of people they've anointed and they haven't pulled the trigger on. I mean,
yeah,
Wardlow, great example of that, right? Like Wardlow marched through May 2022 as the hottest guy on the roster. And I love Wardlow. I think he's an amazing dude. He's a great performer. But I don't see any way AEW can really heat him up back to where he was, unfortunately, at this juncture. So you have to know when to strike, and I think now is the time. Daniel Garcia, a great example. Garcia, there were like 3 opportunities where you could have struck with Garcia that really would have taken him from here to here, and just didn't happen. So I hope that's not the case for Swerve.
Garcia, is he on the shows anymore? I feel bad for Daniel Garcia. I thought he should have won the title at Revolution. And like, I understand why they didn't, because they had Copeland get it and everything. And it's just, yeah.
There were at least 3 opportunities that they could have really elevated Daniel Garcia to the next level. And I felt they didn't do that. There was the first time where he was feuding with Jericho and it was looking like they were going to have him win the Ring of Honor title from him, and it just didn't happen. There was no payoff to it whatsoever. Then around the time leading into the Continental Classic, it kind of felt like he was going to maybe have a really good showing in that. They ended up telling a pretty good story with him, like fighting for the one win, which I didn't hate, but didn't really elevate super out of that. And then with this Christian Cage stuff, man, it wasn't about Copeland winning the TNT title. People weren't into that match to see Copeland win the TNT title. They were into that match to see him beat Christian Cage. So why the opportunity wasn't taken to give Garcia that win where Copeland could have evened the odds and helped Garcia win, and then Garcia goes off as your mid-card champion and he's out there having killer matches with people and trying to establish more equity, and then you get the payoff between Copeland and Cage, just seemed like an obvious layup to me. And yeah, just didn't happen. And they could, as Simeon posts out, like they could go in the direction of Garcia and Copeland, but you had a natural heel and a natural baby face there for the taking. Why not roll with that?
If Garcia is the one to defeat Copeland to win the title, then okay, I'll forgive what they've done, even though I don't agree with it. I didn't like after Copeland won the title and they're backstage celebrating, Garcia's just like there and he's like, yeah, cool, you won the title. Everything's like, didn't you like hate this man 2 weeks ago and being like, yeah, this dude tried to take my spot and I needed to beat him. Now he's injured. When I win this title, I'll give him a shot. And then all of a sudden you lost, and now it's like, all right, I guess I'm going to help you win this title, and we're cool now.
And I don't know, man, listen, when you have guys like Garcia and guys like Starks, I mean, it's been reported their contracts are up this year. It's like, you have to prove to them that they are people that you're going to invest in the long term. And how you present them, how you book them matters. It very much matters. Because I'd imagine both of those guys would have no problem getting work elsewhere, wherever it may be. So if they are part of your long-term plan, you have to prove that.
DJ Duke saying, do I still slander Copeland? All day, every day. Not a fan. Not a fan. Look who has showed up an hour late for work. I hope you're okay, honestly.
Work? I don't get paid for this.
True.
I'll be honest. I woke up at like 7 a.m. and I was in cold sweats. I threw up.
No. Did a billionaire tweet about you?
My missus, maybe. My missus told me to go back to sleep, and I did not wake up until about like 10 minutes ago when I texted Jeremy and said, I just woke up. I've been under the weather all this morning, but I'm feeling much better after she told me to go back to sleep. So that's why I'm here.
I'm glad you're feeling better. So I actually sent you the link earlier than I typically do.
You did.
And then
you did.
5 minutes passed 10 o'clock. And I was like, I don't know if he's showing up. So I just got to start this show. And so
I appreciate you, messaging me again. Cause if I just got that one message with the StreamYard link, it was the second message that made me open my eyes.
Well, the first one I sent it and everything, like legitimately, after a little while, and you didn't show up, I'm like, I just hope you're okay at this point. I don't care that you're not part of the show right now. Like, I'm now worried about you as a friend because
Yes.
usually you're very timely and prompt. And even if you can't make it, you message me something.
Yeah.
But the fact
I
that
had
heard
I had
from
an
you,
interview this morning that I had to cancel because I was not in any shape to do anything this morning. But
well,
I'm good. I'm good now, and I'm here, and I'm glad to see John Alba.
I had to call in John Alba
I was
to help me out.
I was tweeting about him yesterday. This
Thanks,
man's
brother.
A lot of people were.
the hot free agent. He's the Mercedes Moné of wrestling media.
Am I? I mean, I've been a free agent for like a year and a half now, and nobody snatched me up. So I don't know.
Mercedes Moné was a free agent for
Yeah.
pretty much a year and a half. That's what I
Yeah.
said. We calling you John Alba money.
I had my big blowout where I walked off, and now here I am. Is that what's going on?
Yes, you
Okay.
walked out. You
Who's my
walked out.
Trinity? Who's the Trinity to my Mercedes?
I don't think Bischoff could be your Trinity.
I was going to say
Bischoff ain't
Shared
my
Delaware is your
Yeah,
Trinity.
I don't think it works like that.
Yikes.
SP3, we've I don't know if you saw the thumbnail for this show, but Joel is trying to get us in trouble with the crew, saying it's a picture of Mercedes with the caption "Waste of Moné." So yeah, it's not very nice. He's trying to get us in trouble. But do you have, John and I have talked about it, but do you have any thoughts on Mercedes Moné's 3-week run so far in AEW? Is it all dead in 3 weeks?
Okay. So I've heard a lot of this discourse. I will say a couple of things. No, she's not buried. No, she didn't make the wrong decision by coming here based on 3 weeks of evidence. But you know me, I love to be honest here. On the other side of the spectrum, we do have to admit, out of the 3 free agents that AEW has signed, it seems like they put in a lot more effort and had a lot more ideas for Okada and Ospreay than Mercedes Moné. It just seems like they understood the talent and what they were getting with Okada and Ospreay more than they understood what they were getting with Moné. And out of the 3 of them, I would say she's had the least impactful of the introductions coming in. And also, we have to come to the realization that I was wrong a couple of weeks ago when I argued with Jeremy, and Becky Lynch is a bigger draw than Mercedes Moné.
So are you suggesting that SP3 is a fraud?
I would suggest that.
I'm not a fraud. I can admit when I'm wrong, unlike a lot of people who be up on the wrestling YouTube verse. I can admit when I was wrong, and I could say that based on 3 weeks of evidence and what we've seen with the ratings, that Becky is a bigger ratings draw than Mercedes Moné. It's just Becky was on NXT for 3 weeks. They went up 50 to 100,000 viewers. Mercedes been on AEW for 3 weeks. There's been no change outside of going down this week. That's scary.
Oh, well, I mean, we can talk about this. The great thing about Dynasty is that AEW have a dream match set up with 2 made men where whoever loses is not damaged. I want Danielson to win. I can't lie because I think he is the man. Look, Simeon. I've been on this train for a while now. These other wrestlers, they got to understand good business. And they got to lay down for Bryan Danielson. They got to take the L so Bryan Danielson can win.
I'll tell you something. I heard there was a period of time at some point in the last year where some major people in AEW like went up to Bryan Danielson essentially, and we're just like, dude, it's okay if you win matches, because he just wanted to just lose to everyone, and they're like, dude, I promise you, it's okay if you win a match here and there.
Good. That's what they should be telling him.
Of course.
I've said it. They got to go into business for themselves because Danielson won't do it. They need to stay down. Danielson pins them.
Lateral press and just stay down.
Yep. Tap out.
It's like why did he have to job to Eddie if Eddie was going to lose the title 3 weeks later? And then he has a bigger matchup at the next pay-per-view, and it's like, why didn't you win at the last pay-per-view? It would have mattered more. And no, I don't hate Mercedes Moné. I'm just saying I just give analysis based on information. Based on the information that we've been given, Becky is a bigger draw than Mercedes. I never said Mercedes wasn't a draw. I said Becky's a bigger one. It's just the proof. I mean, when you're giving factual information, you have to kind of dictate your take or opinion on that. Sorry, guys.
It sounds like you hate Mercedes Moné.
Apparently I do. Apparently I do. And I'm seeing people be like, Mercedes a draw? What are you talking about? I was like, I never said she wasn't.
Clearly waste of Moné. Look, I told you with Bryan Danielson, I didn't like the loss to Eddie Kingston. I thought he should have won. Why is he losing to Eddie Kingston? And then Will Ospreay's like, you're the best wrestler in the world. I want to test myself against you. He just lost. If these rankings mean anything, which, I mean, come on now, then you shouldn't have Bryan Danielson lose and then do this big dream match against Will Ospreay and be like, it's the two best wrestlers in the world. I just saw this guy lose. Nonsense. So Jizzle says Mercedes quarter hour movement is gigantic compared to the baseline of AEW. What facts?
Did you look at her quarter hour?
I crack up though with quarter hours because I'm convinced that 87% of people that look at quarter hours don't actually understand what they're looking at. They see a chart go up and go down. And they think that that's like individually reflective of the viewership and what was on in that area, but it's a mean. It is an average. So if someone has like a really good quarter hour, it's not out of the realm of possibility that the very beginning of the segment had a crap ton of people and the very end of the segment had a really low number, or vice versa. So I don't think people necessarily truly understand how quarter hours work. It's a good evaluation, but it's not necessarily a perfect evaluation of anyone's draw, for better or for worse.
No. And I know people want to be, our first segment did a million viewers, and I my immediate answer to that was thank you, Sheldon Cooper.
Well, but
because that's the reason why all the first segments of Dynamite do well, is that they get the passover from Big Bang Theory, and then the number goes down. That's how it happens every week. If you pay attention to the numbers, the number goes down every week. The first
like with that, it could have been a situation where and I'm literally just throwing out hypothetical number tiers, but like Big Bang Theory could have done like 2 million for the lead-in, and Mercedes could have done 500,000. Or vice versa. Mercedes could have done 2 million and Big Bang Theory could have done 500,000. Yeah. And so people don't understand how those averages work out. And I don't know. I just don't think people necessarily understand how quarter hours work. I'm not even sitting here acting like I fully, truly understand how all ratings metrics work. It's a very complicated system, but So before everyone is just like, but the quarters, I think we need to take a step back.
I'm going to be honest and say I don't care about ratings,
and that's
fine too. And that's fine too.
And I always talk about that too. Like, if you enjoy something, who the hell cares about what the rating is? But when people want to have bad faith takes about stuff, that's when it becomes relevant to the discourse.
Yeah. When you have bad fake takes, or when you're kind of being delusional, and it's both sides of the spectrum happens a lot when we talk about AEW.
Being a little delulu,
being a little delulu.
Don't base your opinion or your enjoyment of things on ratings, everybody. And I mean that in regards to viewership numbers, demo numbers, stars, anything like that. Do not base your enjoyment of something on, I guess, almost tired metrics, especially if they are star ratings.
Yeah, and so Jizzle says ratings matter when you're talking about the value of a black woman's contract. I'm not sitting here saying there's not value in ratings. There absolutely are, especially for the people who are the decision makers. No questions asked about that. I'm merely referring to the people who form their opinions based off of these things.
Yeah.
That's where they're misguided.
And truthfully, the contract value, that ain't my decision either. I'd pay all these people way more. Whether they bring in the ratings or not. They should all be paid
especially
more.
In WWE. WWE has so much money to offer talent if it truly wants to.
Yes. So that ain't my concern either. The money these people are making, I want them all to make more. They should all make more. So that's why I'm not big on the ratings. Certainly star ratings, quarter-hour ratings, minute-by-minute ratings. Don't care. I just watch the show and I comment on the show. That's it. SP3, you've done well to get yourself in trouble with the crew. Good job.
That's what I'm here for, guys. That's what I'm here for. I
appreciate you acknowledging I was right about Becky.
Yeah, Becky, her 3 weeks on NXT did better, put a percentage up than Mercedes on AEW the last 3 weeks. I see a whole bunch of people being like, she's been the biggest straw the last 3 weeks. You're not providing any factual evidence to support that, but okay. If you think so, that's fine. Ratings can be an opinion type of thing too, apparently. So, hey, go for it.
Anything else from Dynamite you would like to speak about, SP3?
I really like this week's episode. I thought the Swerve and Takeshita match was fantastic. Just a great showcase of AEW and two of their top workers right there. You got Swerve, who just seems like he's the hot guy right now, and his story as far as him and Samoa Joe that started pretty much in January and seems to kind of be about to reach his blow off at Dynasty. It feels like the hot program as far as like the hot story going on. I feel like characters are hot in AEW, but as far as program stories going on, I think Swerve and Samoa Joe's got the best one, and that was a great match by Takeshita, who's been the best in-ring worker for AEW this year, in my opinion.
John Alba, thank you for joining in on short notice. I appreciate it. Do you want to plug anything?
Do I have anything left to plug?
You got the Matt Hardy podcast.
Yeah. No, the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy. We just did our finals of the Greatest of All Time tournament. We're very excited for that. Matt gave an update on his AEW status this week and his contract offer from them. So go check that out. We have 2 live shows. If you're in Philadelphia, would love to see people out there. We are doing a live show at the Sheraton downtown Philadelphia, where WrestleCon is, on Friday, April 5th at 4:00, talking to TLC years. So that will be super fun. And then later that night, if you're involved in the wrestling industry, so if you're a wrestler, wrestling media, wrestling commentator, manager, promoter, whatever it is, we're doing a first of its kind kind of thing at the world famous Monster Factory right across the river. We are doing a live podcast seminar, a Q&A that is open doors for anyone in the wrestling industry to ask Matt Hardy anything that they want about making it in wrestling. And I think that's a really unique opportunity. If you're a Monster Factory student, the tickets are free. If you're just anyone else in the industry, email John Alba SFC, JONALBA SFC @gmail.com. $15 admission for that. You can do it at the door, or you can do it in advance. I'd recommend doing it in advance. It's going to be really, really cool to be a part of that. Jeremy, you've had a chance to see Hardy live show in person. They're super fun, and yeah, it's gonna be great. And you can check me out on Sportsnet New York now that baseball season's underway. So fun stuff.
I saw the Yankees won yesterday. Congrats to them.
Daddy Soto, baby.
Reds also won, so I was.
They did.
Yes,
they did. I mean, you know,
I've been told they're supposed to be good.
That was a little lower in the quarter-hour ratings than with the Yankees. They call the Yankees the Mercedes Moné of Major League Baseball.
Very nice.
Thank you, John. I
appreciate you guys. Be well. All right. Take care.
Well,
thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
Take care.
Love John Alba. I appreciate John Alba for coming in here. So again, SP3, you didn't show up for work. I know you don't get paid. You don't have to tell me. But I messaged John Alba at like 10:10 after I've been doing the show for 5 minutes. I'm just like, I don't have a co-host today. And you show up, and he's like, what's going on? And I was like, everybody just quit on me. And he's like, are you live now? I was like, yeah, I'm reading all these texts on air. So whatever you text me, I'm just going to read. So he texted me John Alba is a hunk, so I read it. And then he's like, all right, give me a few minutes. I'll be there. So that was casual John Alba. He had the baseball cap back.
I know, man. He was looking
hair
good.
Out.
He's looking all good. He got to show his support to Daniel Garcia. I don't agree with him. I don't think Garcia should have beat Christian for the TNT title. But, you know, to each his own. What? How is it cowardly? You didn't put me in. I'm just sitting here and I'm waiting to be put in. If you had put me in,
I had to wait for John to finish his take. I'm not going to step on John's take just to throw you in here. We can talk about it now.
You could join me. You could pop me in, and I would have listened to the rest of his take and then told him that I
but
disagree.
then people like get thrown off when you do that and stuff. I don't like doing that to people.
No, it's fine.
I don't like doing that to people. Daniel Garcia should have beaten Christian. I got the same opinion John has. So.
Of course you do. You don't like Adam Copeland. You're a hater. You're a Cope hater.
That's never been stated ever.
Yes, it has on multiple occasions.
There's no proof of this.
Oh, there is a whole bunch of proof.
There's absolutely no proof that I have anything against Adam Copeland.
There's so much proof.
I've not been calling Adam Copeland a little bitch for 4 years now. There's no proof of this.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am here to expose the conspiracy that is going on this program. In the Weeze has a conspiracy against Adam Copeland. Jeremy has felt very offended by all his look down the lens promos, thinking that he's cutting promos on him because he looks so thoroughly down the lens that Jeremy thinks that he's talking to him. And now he has a personal vendetta against Adam Copeland that has rubbed off on a fellow Canadian Adam Copeland, Joel Pearl. Joel Pearl was on this show saying Adam Copeland's not going to be back in Ottawa because he'll be back in WWE by then, starting conspiracies that he's leaving AEW or want to leave the organization that's paying him good money to prove that he's not a draw. But yeah, it's like, what are you doing?
What are the quarter hours for Cope? Huh? That's what
quarter hours.
Quarter hour Cope. People are coping with how bad those quarter hours are when he's on television. I don't think he's cutting promos on me when he does that. I just think he's not cutting good promos.
Hey, there's our
gets his all hair slicked back, and he's like,
I like the.
I'm gonna go to this place that I didn't think I was gonna have to go, but you brought this out of me. I didn't want to take it here. I did not want to take it here. I was looking forward to coming here to reunite with my best friend. My best friend, Jay. My daughters told me, they said, Dad, go be with Uncle Jay. Go be with Uncle Jay. And that's what I did. I came here to be with you, to reunite the greatest tag team in history. I came here so we could have one last run. And what did you do? You turned your back. You told me to go fuck myself. And now you've brought me to this place that hold on, we gotta turn on a light.
He's like, I've been fucking myself instead of fucking my wife.
I had to go to this place that I did not want to have to go to. And it's because of you, Jay, Christian, that I have to go here. And now I'm gonna make you pay. Now I'm gonna take everything that you have worked for. I'm gonna take it from you. I'm going to take it from you, and I'm going to do it.
You know what you're missing,
Toronto.
Right? You know what you're missing,
Toronto,
right?
Where we grew up. I can't hear you. My headphones are off. In Toronto, where we grew up together, where we came up in this business together. I'm going to take it all from you. AEW Collision. I quit.
That was almost really good, but you forgot the bug died.
I didn't get.
You got it. Yeah. That's like the cherry.
I spit on my computer.
You gave us the sundae. You even gave us the chocolate syrup on top, but you forgot the cherry. I was like, where's the cherry at? I was like, the sundae isn't complete. But yeah. I like Adam Copeland's promos. I liked his promos, especially his promos in the Christian feud. I thought the Christian feud accomplished a lot as far as gave us 6 months of great television. The 5-star angle that was the re-Christianing. I give star ratings for angles now. Jimmy Macaram made me start doing that. A 5-star angle for that re-Christianing segment when he named Look at you. You're a hater. You're a hater. How could you hate on Christian Cage? I understand hating on Copeland, but this I'm talking about a Christian segment. The patriarchy re-Christianing when he renamed Luchasaurus into Killswitch, when he named Nick Wayne into the Prodigy, when he introduced Mother Wayne into the patriarchy. That was a 5-star angle. Great promo work. Great. It heated up their feud. It started the whole feud with Daniel Garcia. There was so much good. I can't even listen to you.
Nick Wayne's doing so great. He had to go back to GCW just so he could get some ring time.
Hey, he wants to work in GCW a little bit. He wants to show some love to his independent that put him on the map. My hot take this week. You want to hear it?
I feel like you've given a lot of hot takes on the show. People are mad at you, SP3.
Apparently, I've seen people talking. SP3 is a lie.
You as a person is a lie.
SP3 hates Mercedes. Oh my god! Like I'm never being honest about Mercedes Moné. That gets you too much trouble. Yeah, but anyway, my hot take this week. I said it on AE Ramble yesterday. I'll say it to you here. I want to see what you say. I think Adam Copeland cuts good promos. I think Edge cut even some great promos. You know, one person, and I can name multiple Edge segments, like the Edge and Foley promo that they had before the Hell in a Cell in 2008. His retirement promo was great. His return promo was great. Edge has had a bunch of promos. You know who you can't say? Oh, you don't hear a lot of fans ever say, yo, he has that one great promo. You got to hear that one great promo. Randy Orton. I think Randy Orton is the worst promo guy of any long-term main eventer in wrestling history.
I don't think Randy is a great promo.
But I know no one thinks Randy's a great promo.
Okay, so how's this a take?
No one, but that's because no one says it. No one mentions it. Everybody's always, Randy's back and everybody's happy to see Randy. And Randy, what's the 3 most dangerous words in the WWE? 3 most dangerous letters in the WWE? RKO. And I came to the realization that I've never said that Randy Orton had a great promo. Never, ever. He's never had a great promo. He's had good ones. He's had memorable ones, sometimes for the wrong reason. Eddie going to hell, stuff like that. Like Randy Orton in 2005, I think everybody would have said Randy Orton, one of the good promos in the WWE, and actually better than the other guy that was in Evolution with him. But now here we are, almost 20 years later. And I would say Batista was a much better promo than Randy Orton.
You want to know why Randy never needed a good promo compared to Edge? Because he had aura. Aura, SP3. He could just walk out there and people are immediately captivated by him. He didn't need to really speak. He had just riz, as the kids like to say.
Yeah, he has great all-time charisma. He has a great all-time look. That's why he was a main eventer for as long as he is. In WWE, you need one of 3 things. You need to be a great promo, have a great look, or have great charisma. If you have 2 of the 3, you're going to be a main eventer in WWE at a high level, like A- or higher type level. In 2 of those 3 categories. And Orton has a great look and he has great charisma.
All right. What is this Adam Copeland, Randy Orton debate?
I'm not doing a Randy Orton, Adam Copeland debate. I said that was my hot take this week, that Orton, I've never heard a great Randy Orton promo. And literally I've went to Randy Orton fans this week and they was like, yeah, he was like, yeah, that's true. He was like, yeah, whenever I think of Orton, I think of moments. I think of an RKO out of nowhere. I think of a match. I don't think of promos. And that's amazing for someone who's been on top as long as he is. I think that doesn't get talked about enough. That's why I wanted to say the hot take here, because not enough people talk about the fact that Randy Orton's been here for 25 years and he hasn't had a great promo yet. Like even bad promos, Scott Steiner math. At least he got Steiner math. That was so bad. It was great. Like at least there are non-promo guys, people that I would say are worse than Randy Orton on promos who have a great promo, but Randy Orton doesn't.
Okay. Randy Orton doesn't need to have a great or bad promo.
No, I never said he did. I'm just stating facts. Agreed.
Will not acknowledge
Beyonce greater than Taylor Swift. She made me like.
We are back to doing this show solo. At this point, once again, all my co-hosts just disappoint me.
What'd I say?
Will Chisholm says, SP3, you're a brave man for telling the truth. The crew will come for you. Be safe, my brother.
Will Chisholm, I'm just gonna take all the super chat money you've been giving me on True Hill Heat, and I'm gonna have a getaway.
You're gonna need it, man. You're gonna need it. You really are.
Yeah. See, we should have invited Jimmy Baccaram. Jimmy Baccaram would be more honest than me about Mercedes Moné.
We don't need to get people in trouble on this show. I mean, we do, but like, I want people to like keep watching this show.
Hey, it's you know, the crew's gonna come. The number's gonna come up for the crew to demolish me in the chat. Because I dare said that you were right. You said that Becky Lynch was a bigger star than Mercedes Moné. All I said that you were right, and I'm getting beat up for it. Like what?
I said it as a bit. We were having an argument. I know you said and it as a bit. And I chose this side. I had to choose this side.
And I just said, based on information, giving comparison by comparison. Becky Lynch 3 weeks on NXT to Mercedes 3 weeks on AEW. One number is bigger than the other. Like, actually, like, Becky did 800.
I don't really think it's super comparable if we're like, I see where you're going, but I don't know how comparable it is. I really don't think it is. I don't pay attention to any of that stuff. Mercedes is underpaid. Becky's underpaid.
Oh, I'm not talking about their contracts. Like,
I know.
And that's the issue, though. People take one argument and try to make it into another, or try to put words in your mouth. I didn't say any of that. I didn't even say Mercedes Moné wasn't a draw. I didn't say she wasn't a star. She's a really huge star. She deserves every bit of money. She's one of the biggest women's wrestlers in all of wrestling. But I would say if I had to do a ranking of the women's wrestlers, I would say Becky Lynch a little bit higher than Mercedes Moné right now. Just right now.
Here's a conversation we can have, SP3. Do we think they are actually using Mercedes to the best of her ability right now?
Didn't I not just? I said that before. I said that you were right. I said that out of the 3 free agents that they signed, it seems like Mercedes has had the least amount of effort and good ideas put to her in comparison to Ospreay and Okada. I personally thought one of two things should have happened on Big Business that would have helped out the last 2 weeks of how they've used Mercedes Moné. At Big Business, you should have came out with a established heel to go against Mercedes Moné, an established heel that it's over and can immediately get a reaction and get heat against Mercedes Moné, so she can maintain being a babyface because she's new. The fans love her. She has a great connection with the fans. She was going to be popular and get cheered when she came into AEW. You had to get an established heel against her. Timeless Tony Storm wasn't the answer. Julia Hart has cooled off since her injury. Sky Blue is still improving. There was really only one answer.
Willow's not a heel.
Willow's not a heel, very clearly. And there was only one answer. And I said it for months in the lead up to Big Business, that you need to work it out where Dr. Britt Baker returns on the same night Mercedes debuts. Because that was the answer. There was no answer on the active roster that we see every week that was an over heel to go against Mercedes Moné that would be seen as a star by a lot of fans. There wasn't anybody except for Britt, who was on the sideline. That was the answer. They didn't do that. They moved on to the next idea. The next idea is to follow up with the Willow Nightingale whole angle that started in New Japan in AEW. That's fine as well. Once you make that decision, what you should have done, we end big business with Willow raising Mercedes' hand and Mercedes dropping her with a bank statement. She should have dropped her in the middle of the ring and established that Mercedes might not be a heel, might not be a babyface. She's a tweener. You can cheer for her, you could boo for her, but she's laying out everyone. No one's safe in the ring with Mercedes Moné. And I think that she would be more comfortable and natural in that role. And I think that was the best play, because maybe Britt's not healthy. Maybe Britt couldn't make it back in time. So Mercedes being somewhat of a tweener character that fits more to the character that she's comfortable in, that would have worked more. And I feel like there's a disconnect because she's not comfortable in just playing this babyface role.
So people are asking if Britt's cleared. People are asking if Mercedes is cleared. Look, wrestlers lie in media. They play things up. What I can say, Mercedes says she's cleared. Mercedes has said she is cleared. Again, whether or not that's true, don't know. Just saying what she has said. I would think if she's not, you'd probably want to say, hey, maybe I'm not, because if you say, yes, I'm cleared, then more questions come than answers. Same thing with Britt. Britt has said she's okay, and she's teased kind of returning. She's done media. She's just been like, I've stepped away. These are what they have said in public interviews. That's what I'm going off of. So if they're saying this, again, it feels like you're coming with more questions than answers out of this, of why you're not doing this.
And like people are saying, is Britt cleared? Is Britt not clear? Is Mercedes not clear? Is Mercedes clear or not? Maybe Mercedes is not clear. Maybe Britt's not clear. That does not stop them from starting a program together. Obviously, if Mercedes not clear and she's showing up, then obviously Britt cannot be cleared and show up. So that's not the, I feel like fans a lot of times they go with the first thing that hits their head of, oh, Britt's probably not hurt. So why are you saying that? Let me type that. No, maybe you should think of, oh, maybe Britt's not hurt. Or maybe Britt's hurt, but maybe Mercedes hurt. So that doesn't stop them from starting a program together. So let's move on from that. The second thing, there was no reason for them not to do that. Maybe they think, oh, Mercedes, she's gonna be a baby face. We can't have her lay out Willow. Well, what I saw this week on Dynamite, when Mercedes came out, she got a good pop. When Willow came out, she got a bigger pop, because Willow is a more natural baby face. So maybe
Willow is a more natural baby face.
Maybe you should have just turned Mercedes on Willow. If that's the program you want to do, if that's the program we're building to, then it's probably better if Mercedes is leaning towards heel.
Well, right now she's a babyface because they put CEO chants in her theme song, and so everybody chants CEO, and so that's a babyface move. That's it. You think she wrestles at Dynasty?
I think she should, because I after this week I was like, yeah, she needs to wrestle. Like having her come out, cut promos, just be a character, doing commentary. I liked her on commentary, but apparently a lot of people didn't. But yeah, it just seems like she needs something to kind of really sink her teeth into. Teasing a Willow feud when Willow becomes the number one contender and has another pay-per-view matchup, that's not precise for Mercedes Moné coming in. She needs to be the center of attention.
I don't know if she should. I don't know if you do a tag team match. I don't know if you do a trios match. I think Sky Blue makes sense as a singles match, but I don't know. Like, I really don't know where she's at ring wise. If she says she's cleared. If she's
cleared, Dynasty, you do Serena Deeb.
They dropped the Serena Deeb.
Yeah, they did, but you can always bring it back.
Who's in the rankings? Who can she face that's ranked?
And there's no one really that she's in the rank. It seems like Deanna, Mariah May, and Thunder Rosa is all going to be in the world title program, and then Willow's third, and then who's else?
Serena Deeb is fifth.
Yeah, so
So
that win would get her in contention, where it looks like they are trying to set up Willow Mercedes 2 for Double or Nothing, because Double or Nothing is 1 year from her injury at Resurgence last year.
yeah, Serena Deeb is 5th, even though she hasn't been on television for.
I am sorry. Like Mercedes Moné's debut is going to be pay-per-view worthy regardless of opponent, but Sky Blue just feels like a Dynamite match.
Yeah. You know,
I thought they were going to set up a Dynamite match for her before we get to Dynasty, because aren't they in Worcester, Massachusetts? This Wednesday? They're in Worcester. Yeah, they're back in Massachusetts. I thought the whole reason they would go back to Massachusetts a month after Big Business was that was going to be Mercedes' first singles match. But it doesn't seem like they set anything up for that.
Yeah, you should probably announce that if that's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
You should probably announce that. They're taping Collision as well, but that's the Collision that airs at like 11:30. I wouldn't do Mercedes' debut on a taped show airing at 11:30.
That's true.
That seems like it's I mean, I understand like you're maybe really trying to pop a rating with that, but that also seems like you're setting it up for failure of like, hey, your first match is going to be taped, airing at like probably midnight.
You could do it on Dynamite. It's on.
Yeah, you can do it on Dynamite. Yeah. I think if you're doing it on Dynamite, you should probably go ahead and announce it. Like I wouldn't hold it off until, you know,
you should have announced it. You should announce it on this show. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't hold it off until like the Tuesday 24 hours before Dynamite of being like, hey, here we go. Mercedes is going to make her debut 24 hours notice. I would have gone ahead and announced that and prepare everybody for it.
Yeah. I think they are going to do something with Deeb on either Deeb. Maybe Deeb cuts a promo in regards to it. I feel like Deeb is the right person. If she's going to have a match at Dynasty, Deeb is the right person where she can get the win there, and that makes her into contention for the TBS title at Double or Nothing.
I think that Deeb makes a lot of sense because I was talking a little bit about with Alba. Deeb is such a great like bully heel, especially with her technical expertise. And Mercedes, what we were talking about, is she's such a great seller that she can really fight underneath from someone like Deeb and elicit that comeback emotion. So I think that would be great. I just don't know what they're doing with Deeb right now. You know, we'll see. They've got some time. I'm going to bring Corey has a bunch of NXT scoops.
Hey, let's hear the scoops. The scooper.
About. This is going to be like a friggin' Friday bit in that Corey's going to come on every single week and just give the NXT scoops. All right. Will Chisholm says Punk pay-per-view match was Darby. What woman is Darby that Mercedes? We like John Alba and I had this discussion in that they were trying to kind of replicate the Punk stuff with Mercedes. It's not a 1-for-1 shot or anything like that, but there were the obvious similarities on there. And the biggest issue with this is one, Punk, it's different personalities, but Punk was gone for almost a decade and Mercedes is, you know, not gone for a decade. Darby did have the cachet with the fans, especially with the attachment with Sting, that no one else really has on the women's side. Certainly Willow.
It's Willow. Yeah, Willow's playing that role for Mercedes, but
it is, but
they're not doing it as effectively.
Louis actually makes a great point. It's Rio, honestly. That's who it is. I think the other issue is Mercedes isn't the talker that CM Punk is. CM Punk can talk and sell certain situations that Mercedes just can't.
And Mercedes, but like this is the key though. Mercedes, I think, can be a good talker, just not as a babyface.
I don't think she comes across very, I said it before, but scripted in a lot of this stuff. Certainly as a babyface as well. You know, CM Punk, the way they built that was, hey, if I was growing up, you would be my favorite wrestler. Like, I really want to test myself against you. I see what you're doing out here. I respect it. I love what you're doing. I want to see if I still got it. And to do that, I need to go against you. And Mercedes is trying to play kind of heelish with Willow, and Willow's kind of playing heelish because they're trying to play off the New Japan history, which is good. You should play off that history. I just don't know if that's the story to tell immediately with it.
This I had a great comment on AE Ramble this week where someone said this feels like the feud they should have done after Britt.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, Britt would have been the ideal first feud. It's just Britt isn't around. Then I don't know whether she's injured, whether they don't have plans for her. This wasn't the plan. Don't know why they didn't go with Britt, but they haven't gone with Britt. I do think you run the risk of almost playing the Britt Saraya feud, rehashing it with Mercedes and Britt. And that if you want Mercedes to be the babyface, people might cheer for Britt because she is the homegrown.
Yeah.
And she is built in that cachet with the fans, where Mercedes, her talking about taking AEW to the next level, building the women's division, people might turn on her for that in the same way they kind of turned on Saraya.
I think that they wouldn't, because it has a bit more impact coming from Mercedes, where it does not feel like just words. And I think that's why the fans turned against Saraya, because it just felt like words, and it felt like she was living off of her past success. Mercedes comes in as I'm a star, just look at me. Saraya came in as I'm a star, let me remind you of it. I think that's the difference in the two characters, that it would have worked better with Britt, in my opinion, with Mercedes than it did with Saraya.
Luis is saying Willow Mercedes is probably more Eddie Punk than Darby Punk. I probably feud you do 6 months after her debut. And the problem with this is Willow and Mercedes are not the talkers that Eddie and Punk is. I understand the kind of comparison, and you have some history to play off of. This is why Punk could play sort of the dynamic of, I can feud with baby faces. I can feud with heels. Make your decision on who you agree with, because Punk can talk himself in and out of a lot of situations. Same with Eddie Kingston. Darby Allin, maybe not the best talker, but Darby had a story that a lot of fans were behind and has grown as a promo as well. Mercedes is the promo that she is. She hits her high points, and I don't know if she can go off the cuff as well as certainly like a CM Punk. And Willow, very natural baby face. I don't know what a heel sort of Willow looks like in fighting back against a baby face like Mercedes, because right now it's just, I'm going to tease hitting you.
Yeah, honestly, I think that what the story needs is probably like an in-ring segment with not just Willow and Mercedes, you Stat and Stokely. I think Stokely could be someone that can get this feud in the right direction. If he's playing more of like an instigator, like say like he's trying to recruit Mercedes into their little group and trying to make her his new client and trying to dump Willow, because they've already established he's really just wants to manage Statlander anyway. So say he's trying to replace Willow with Mercedes. Kind of use him. He's one of the good talkers that's involved in this story, and I don't think they've utilized him enough. They did the little backstage segment, which honestly I thought was a week late. I thought they should have done that backstage segment on the first week, to remind people that Mercedes was going to be in the main event instead of right before the main event. Remind them that she's going to be out there. I think they should have done it like early on in the show, like they did last week. But they did that segment there. They used a little bit of his comedy there. They need to use his talking ability a little bit more for this program.
We have Corey here to call Becky Lynch a bigger star than Mercedes and get in trouble with the crew as well. How you doing, Corey?
I'm okay. That's the usual though.
Corey, you've got a report coming on Ilya Dragunov. What can you tell us about this?
It's just going to be a long report. There's been a lot of questions like the last few months about Ilya, especially after he took that break in December/January, which he usually does take each year now. So a lot of it spawned a lot of rumors about if he's going to go to the main roster, if WWE want him on the main roster, and so on and so forth. So that's really what the report's going to cover, and it's going to cover just basically a lot of stuff to do with Ilya because, just there's not really a lot of stuff out there about Ilya, like at all. He's a very private person. He's very there's not really much to say about him really online at these days. So, yeah, it should be a very detailed report, and there's a lot in it.
What can you tell us about the Ridge Holland situation? I know a lot of people have questions about that.
The Ridge Holland situation has been one that I've been following closely since it started because that initial spot where they worked everyone and thinking that Ilya was injured, that one was one that kind of got the ball rolling on that. And his segment on Tuesday was very confusing to a lot of people, including people backstage. Those kind of segments usually end with someone coming out, kind of just getting them to see clearly and all that. But they let it breathe. They've let it breathe for a bit. But I was told very quickly when I asked that it's not a legitimate retirement. It's more just a little break for him. It's all to do with his storyline. He has been very, very influential in this storyline. He pushed for this storyline personally himself. And he has been taking on a lot of advice from people in NXT. You don't see that a lot with the main roster names to come down. Usually they're coming down to kind of spread their wisdom. Ridge came down and he has been kind of just taking on what NXT Creative and Shawn Michaels in particular have been saying about his storyline. One person said that there's been a pitch for Regal to manage Ridge. That's one that that's just what one person has told me, though. That's not like something I've been able to confirm if it's going to be something that happened. Personally, I think that'd be a great idea for Ridge, for Regal to do that. But other than that, like, there's not really much to say about the Ridge storyline. He's probably going to miss a couple of weeks. Might be back as soon as next week, though. That kind of part of the storyline isn't really decided yet. It's similar to when Carmelo took out Trick, and Trick was away for a few weeks. They didn't really have a concrete plan on how long he'd be out. That's the way it just works in NXT. It could just be like that. Someone could be back on the show. So yeah, the Ridge situation is just a really interesting one, to be honest. I'm surprised that they went with the angle, though.
He should show up in the crowd and just watch the show. Just sitting in the stands, having some popcorn. It's like, I still enjoy wrestling. I still want to support my peers. Still appreciate all the hard work everybody's doing. I just can't do it. Can't do it anymore myself. Or be an analyst like Tom Brady. I guess Tom Brady couldn't stay away. He had to come back for another year. But be an analyst on the show. Should do that.
Someone gets dropped on their head and he has a telestrator.
Yeah. Let me tell you about dropping people on their heads. I know all about it.
So mean.
No, but in all seriousness, he's not had, like, there's been a lot of talk about him having heat backstage and all that. A lot of people just assume because he's been involved in some injuries that there's heat with him backstage. I think people need to recognize that WWE and NXT and just everyone in the industry recognizes that injuries happen, freak accidents happen. Ridge hasn't carried much heat of anything at all in NXT, and while I said that he is listening, he has been someone who has also been open to helping the NXT talent, which is something that I don't think gets talked about enough. Every single main roster talent that has gone down, everyone that I've talked to in NXT who's talked about, they all go down, and their only intention is to elevate everyone around them. Becky, Punk showing up there every other week, Natalya coming down for Tuesday's show. They all just want to be there to elevate and and help these talents get better, and I think that's really admirable, and I'm surprised it doesn't get talked about more. And I think it's very silly when people like to say that, like, oh, they're stealing the spotlight, they're doing this, they're doing that. Like, that was one of the things when Becky took the NXT championship off Tiffany. A lot of people were like, oh, she's taking the spotlight, but it's really about just getting these young talents in with these absolute superstars like Becky, and it helps them so much. It elevated Tiffany so much. Like before and after working, you can see her. She was already on track to be a star, but you could tell how much she learned from Becky. And I really do like that. That's been a major part of Triple H's creative. He's been very open to letting talents come and go as they please with NXT. So yeah, that's been really, really interesting, to be honest.
Corey, before we let you go, do you want to bury any members of the crew and get yourself in trouble?
I don't want to bury any of the crew, but I will say this: just the numbers for Becky don't lie. Jeez, now I'm doing Steiner Matt.
I'm just saying, thank you, Corey. Like people are trying to act like I'm wilding. I'm wilding. Like it's 3. I said Becky on NXT in comparison to Mercedes on AEW. We'll just take 3 weeks of Mercedes on AEW to the first 3 weeks of Becky on NXT. Yes, there's differences. I'm not gonna lie, but let's just look at the numbers. And what does it say?
But it's not just the numbers. It's not just the numbers, because if I said just the numbers, I'd be the biggest hypocrite in the world, because I try and stay away from that. But at the end of the day, it's not just that. It's the way she carries herself. It's as Jeremy pointed out, the media that she's been doing. I know that doesn't really factor in, but it just shows how much that she cares about the business, how much she carries herself as the star that she is, and just generally, I love Mercedes. I love Mercedes. I think she's easily number 2. No one else. It's Becky. Jeremy.
Doesn't seem like it for both of you. Doesn't seem like it.
Corey, this is starting to feel like the LeBron versus Jordan. Let's just like
I'm Irish. I don't know what that means, bro.
No. What I'm telling you, Corey, is that everybody says the 2 greatest is LeBron and Jordan, and because LeBron is newer, once you say Jordan is number 1, LeBron's number 2, they be like, "Oh, you're saying LeBron sucks?" LeBron, and like they go from one thing to another. No, I'm saying that this person is better than them. That's it. That's the one person that's better than them.
I agree with that.
I would like the record to show that I think both women are fantastic, and they're both giant draws, and they both deserve all the money that they can get.
We're saying that too. We're just disagreeing with the crew. Who
seems like both of you are like Mercedes is overrated. They spent too much on her. That's what I'm hearing personally.
Listen, my Irish ass is biased, okay? I'm fairly admit that. But at the end of the day, I'm still speaking facts. I'm sorry, okay?
I literally was on the Mercedes side, but I just go off of factual. I'm just giving information, and it can change my opinion.
Corey, would you like to plug anything before I let you
go? Like I said, like I came on to talk about the EA story. There's going to be NXT notes from Tuesday's show. That should be. I don't know when that's going up. I thought it was going to be today. I have to ask Sean, but over the weekend probably. My interview with Niall Foxy Fox, where he talked about getting shotgun drop kicked and nearly dying because of Gunther. That's live on Overbooked as well. Other than that, nothing really else to plug. I'm a bit boring in that regard.
We appreciate you, Corey. Thank you. Everyone go check out the interview he did with Foxy. That's up on Fightful Overbooked right now. Thank you, Corey.
See you guys.
See ya.
There we go. Corey Brennan joining us, our NXT scoopster, coming in here on a Friday, dropping the NXT knowledge for us. All right, SP3, we got a few minutes left to talk about some Smackdown here. What's happening on Smackdown? I don't even know. What's going on this Smackdown show tonight?
I know we got the finals of bracket 1 and bracket 2 because
why do they have brackets on SmackDown?
Because I literally tagged Adam Pearce, WWE, and Nick Aldis last week during Raw because I was like, it is wrong that the Raw tag teams only have to win 1 match while SmackDown tag teams have to win 2 to get into the 6-pack challenge. This is an injustice against SmackDown and the fact that SmackDown has more tag teams than Raw, even though Raw is 3 hours and SmackDown's only 2.
Rock is not advertised. Roman's not advertised. Cody's not advertised. Feels like they're mailing in this final SmackDown before WrestleMania week here.
I mean, to be honest, do you blame them after last week's Cody and Roman segment?
Yeah, that segment was what it was, wasn't it?
It was just so there. It was there.
We got Bianca and Dakota. That'd be a good match. The 2 qualifying matches. Jade Cargill will appear, and then Kevin Owens and Randy Orton get to beat Pretty Deadly.
Do you
Those are
think
your
we get Jade getting set up for a WrestleMania match?
If they're gonna do it, it feels like the match is Bianca, Naomi, and Jade against Damage Control, right?
Yeah.
Nothing else. I don't think they're doing a singles match for Jade, and nothing else really seems to make sense for her. So if they're gonna do it, it seems like it'll be that 6-woman matchup because we had Bianca and Naomi uniting last week. Bianca's facing Dakota. I think that they'll probably set that up tonight.
Yeah. What have you thought about the build to Bailey and Io? Because I felt like the last couple of weeks, it felt more like they were building the women's tag team title match, or that 6-man that you just discussed. It felt like they've been building that more than Bailey and Io.
The whole story is Bailey and Damage Control, and now Bailey's got some reinforcements, first with Naomi and then with Bianca. I have liked that. I do think they need to put a little bit more heat on the Bailey Io portion of it. But I will say this, the first segments when they did the turn and the challenge and everything were really good.
They were great.
Yeah. And you do have to worry about peaking too soon with that stuff. So I don't mind that it's cold a little bit. I hope they heat it some more tonight, and then next week is obviously the big go home push for it. I think you can reheat it some tonight. Next week you got to really put the strong push for it.
It just feels like they took their foot off the gas. Like they did their best 2 ideas they had with this whole feud with Bailey and Io in the first 2 weeks. The stuff they did with the whole turn of Damage Control on her and Bailey's great promo, and then the following week when Dakota reacted to it, and then it took like 2 or 3 more weeks before we got to Dakota's heel turn, and I thought by the time they got to the heel turn that it had cooled off. And I think they've done some stuff to make it interesting again, with Bianca kind of playing the role of Kevin Owens from last year's WrestleMania build, with Bailey playing the role of Sammy. I've liked their interactions, and I like Bianca's kind of still holding her accountable for her actions in Damage Control. But after the show last week, I felt like that was more building to an eventual what they're doing more than it was building Bailey and Io, which can be a difficulty. And I see that that's something that is common in WWE, where I don't think they realize that by building multiple feuds at once, one feud is going to feel lesser than. And I feel like that's what they've done also with Jimmy and Jay, where Jimmy and Jay, they gave them a spotlight last week on Raw, but this week on Raw, they really used their rivalry to build up the Rock and Cody thing. So I feel like that's one that needs to heating up. The Bailey and Io need some heating up. Yeah. Those kind of feel like the code feuds right now. Whereas like AJ and LA Knight, I'm actually interested in what they're going to do tonight, because they actually had an effective segment that got a little bit of heat on their feud last week with the whole home invasion that they did, because that was shot very uniquely. I liked how they shot that.
Well, LA Knight is not supposed to be at the arena tonight, Nick Aldis said. So we'll see if he does disobey orders and show up. Do you think he comes out in a Zamboni, or is that a little too on the nose with the Austin reference?
Yeah, he's getting enough comparisons. Yeah, you heard people saying that he's a lesser version of The Rock when he was on the same show as The Rock. We don't need any more comparisons. He already did.
They're in like Connecticut too, and Connecticut doesn't have a hockey team, so I don't know if you can do the Zamboni. Connecticut's nothing but like billionaires and everything, so I don't know. It just comes out in a limo and attacks them. I don't know. I suspect Bloodline will be there. I suspect Heyman will be there. Jimmy will be there. Solo. I do hope they put some good heat on Jimmy and Jay for this week, whether it's a strong promo segment or whether they're just fighting each other. I do think they do need some extra heat on that. I would do a I would do a strong video package on Bailey this week, and maybe even Io as well. But like Bailey has a great story, and obviously longtime fans who have been following it know it and everything. But there's a lot of story you can tell with Bailey, even just like putting together damage control, like just from the damage control start, from when she was injured, and then her idea to put the group together, the actual coming together at SummerSlam.
Basically, what they
win.
did before Royal Rumble, they did that
Yeah.
video package. Yeah,
Yeah, but now because you have the turn and everything, like, and because you have the Rumble win, you can now talk about what it means to have the singles match at WrestleMania, going for the title at WrestleMania. Like you have a really good story to tell with Bailey. It would be a little bit of a rehash of the Rumble stuff, but you've also got the extra 2 months of story along with that, and now a different perspective if you're Bailey now that she's been turned on.
yeah. I would like that. I think that's better though for the go home show. I feel like this week they
Maybe.
need to do the angle, whatever the angle is to heat up. They need to do the equivalent of what Becky and Rhea did on Monday. They heated up. They heated their stuff up where to the point that I don't even think they need a segment on next Monday's Raw. They did that's the go home segment right there. Rhea bringing up her daughter, Becky, with the emotion, all the tears in her eyes, cutting that promo, then snuffing Dom. That was great. And then the brawl afterwards,
too.
like, yo, I was like, that's the go home segment. They could do a video package next week. They're fine. We need Bailey and Io to give us something equivalent to that. So then they could just do a video package on that last Friday SmackDown.
And Corey saying Bailey needs to make a save on Bianca.
That's true.
Still, it is true to kind of make good with Bianca, but then it still feels like you're telling too much of an entirety story with damage control and Bailey's friends. Like, I want some type of singular focus on Bailey and Io, because that's obviously the match. So, like, it's okay to blend the stories, and they have been blending the stories. I think what SP3 and I are kind of down on right now is the singles match between Bailey and Io and the build for that.
There is no
focus.
issue. There is no issue there.
Well, the issue is, Io kind of
but
gathered her friends.
What we've been told this whole time is that Io was influenced by the Kabuki Warriors and their past issues with Bailey, and then also Dakota Kai is kind of the brains of the operation. Io Sky is here as the champion, and it felt like throughout this feud, she was like standing here with the rest of Damage Control, and then slowly faded into the background as Dakota became the person that Bailey's really feuding with. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll do a 8-woman tag next week or anything. I mean, next week would be it. I don't think you're seeing it this week, but maybe that's the big setup. Maybe that's Jade's. I don't know if I'd do Jade's. I mean, she's already had her first match. I would just go ahead and just WrestleMania, save it for WrestleMania. Not a tag segment. Okay.
I think you need to do, like, with the Jade segment, what I said last week after SmackDown was they need to do like Damage Control coming out and trying to recruit Jade to bring her into their crew, because she's the big free agent. You want to make it seem like a lot of people want her services or are very excited for her to be on, and that adds to her star aura. If Damage Control, the most dominant group on the SmackDown Women's division, wants her to be a part of their ranks, and then you can have, well, because she could say no, she could be all cocky, be her regular Jade self, and say no and turn them down, and they turn against her, and then you have Naomi, Bianca, Bailey come out to make the save, and that can set up your 6-man tag right there. I really want the 6-man tag or a 6-woman tag to happen, because I think they do Bianca and Jade next year at WrestleMania.
I don't know if I guess they can hold off Bianca and Jade for an entire year.
They can hold that off for a while, because Bianca can either verse Jade next year or Charlotte, because she was supposed to verse Charlotte this year.
Yeah, they've definitely shown that they're not afraid to play a longer game with things and hold off on that stuff. But as SmackDown seems it's going to be a show tonight. We'll see it's the second to last SmackDown before WrestleMania, so they're hopefully going to have some good ideas out there. But we'll see what the totality of the show is with no Rock, no Roman, no Cody, at least not advertised. Maybe they show up. You never know. Rock showed up unadvertised on Monday, and so we'll see.
Seth will show up unadvertised.
Do you have to go?
No. I don't have a heart out.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll go a little bit longer then, since you're a little bit late today. Yes. I'm glad you are okay, though.
I'm glad I'm okay too. I'm feeling all right for the most part. I need to eat something after we're done here, but for the most part, I'm fine. But yeah, it doesn't sound like there's much going on SmackDown, and I have to review that show. But
you review every show.
No, I don't review NXT. I don't review Rampage fully.
Well, I mean, okay,
but every other show, yeah. Dynamite, Collision, Raw, SmackDown. That's what I do.
I mean, the main shows you basically review.
Yeah, the main shows, not developmental or 1 hour after SmackDown shows. No, okay. I don't do that.
Well, I'll leave it to you, SB3, in this closing segment we have. What would you like to talk about?
Okay, I'll give you another hot take. This isn't mine though. And I'm asking your opinion. This is mainly one I've been asking people's opinions about because this is Jimmy Macaram. Jimmy Macaram yesterday on AEW Ramble said that he does not believe Cody Rhodes is the next face of WWE. He thinks he's the in-between guy. He thinks that he is not Stone Cold. He's not Hulk Hogan. He's not The Rock. He's not Roman Reigns. He's not John Cena. He's more akin to a Bret Hart, a Shawn Michaels, a CM Punk, a Bryan Danielson. He's the guy in between till you get to the next face. And I could not argue with him. I could not argue with him.
No.
I could not argue with him because I've never thought that Cody was supposed to be the next guy, the next top guy. I never thought that. Since he returned to WWE, I think that he's proven himself enough that he deserves to be the guy to beat Roman Reigns, and he could hold it down. And we're not going to know if Jimmy is right or not until like a year from now. But I could not argue with him because I don't see the story of what's going to lead Cody to have like be the next face of the company. What's the story that needs to be told outside of The Rock? Rock is the only one that I'm really engaged in, but I feel like I'm going to have to wait a year. If Cody is the champion, I'm going to have to wait a year until I get The Rock again.
All right. Yeah. I'm going to ask the same question the chat's asking. Who's the guy if it's not Cody?
Who did I think was the guy? I think when Cody first returned and people were saying immediately Cody should be the one to beat Roman Reigns, my thought was no, it should not be him because that's not the next guy that WWE feels like it's going to be the next guy. I feel the next guy is probably Braun Breaker. Hey, you can shake your head, you can say I'm wrong, but tell me I'm wrong that WWE would pick Braun Breaker over Cody Rhodes as the next top guy. I'm not talking about who we think should be the next top guy. I am talking about who WWE is going to pick as the next top guy.
I think they've already picked Cody. They just haven't put the title on him.
It feels like they only picked Cody because they were forced to, which adds to the argument that he's more
speaks
like
to
Bryan
Cody's
Danielson.
Value.
He's more like Bryan Danielson. Whenever WWE is forced to pick somebody, they don't go all the way with it.
I'm all for Roman stacking everybody and retaining at WrestleMania.
I mean, he is the top guy.
I don't think you can deny Cody at this point. I think they might have been forced to, but they were forced to for reasons of Cody. Just like they were forced to pick Steve Austin Austin was not, let's anoint Steve Austin here. But he became the guy because they were forced to pick him. And he was very clearly, the top draw. They pick certain people, and that's the guy who's on top for 10 years. Is Cody going to be on top for a decade? I think it is a good shot at it. I think he's good. I think he's the guy for at least the next 5 years. I really think he's the guy for at least the next 5 years. And after that, it's a crapshoot, especially with, you have AEW in the mix and different people jumping back and forth. It becomes a little bit tougher to anoint the top guy for the next decade as they've been able to do for the last 20 years nowadays with how things just kind of work. I think Cody's the guy. I don't see him as a Danielson, Brett, Sean. I see him as not obviously a clean-cut babyface like Steve Austin wasn't.
I've heard people legit compare this WrestleMania to WrestleMania 14. Like they're saying that Cody is the next Austin. He's the next John Cena. I can't argue in favor of that. I don't see it. I just don't see it. I'm not saying that y'all are wrong. I'm not saying y'all are wrong. I just don't. I can't argue for that.
I think people get caught up on the guy means you got to carry the company for 20 years because that's
what Simeon just said in the chat is where I'm at. Like I love Gunther. I think Gunther is the best guy in WWE.
Sure.
But I can never see WWE making him the number one guy. I just can't.
I mean, we're not arguing about Gunther though. We're arguing about Cody.
But that's what I feel about Cody. Like I can't see. I don't see WWE saying you're the next top guy for the next 5 years.
I think they've already said it.
I only feel like and the reason why I can't really see it is because they only decided that like 2 months ago. It was supposed to be Rock and Roman. They were going to go with Rock and Roman. Roman was going to retain. They didn't choose Cody then. They didn't choose Cody when he won the Royal Rumble. They chose Cody because y'all chose Cody. And every time that's happened.
Okay, hold on. But this
like Austin won the King of the Ring before he got over. He won the King. They started the process where they go back and they have rewrite history of the Austin Revolution. Austin 316 started with the promo at King of the Ring. No, it really started because Bret Hart. He got in a feud with Bret Hart, and that took him to the next level. But they rewrite history and say the whole push started when he won the King of the Ring. When he won the King of the Ring, he was not that over. They chose him because they were going to choose Triple H, but he did the curtain call. They needed someone else. He was getting over as a heel. They chose him, and then the rest is history. They did not choose Cody Rhodes off of in the same way, in the same fashion.
They had Cody win the Rumble last year. Main event WrestleMania lost. They had him win the Rumble this year. Were they not choosing Cody and then Rock came in and threw weight around and was like, you know what? We're going to do this instead. Was that Rock superseding what they did actually choose in Cody?
I think that Rock versus Roman was always a possibility when Rock returned in September last year. So I don't think they really decided Cody until Cody tried to hand over his WrestleMania spot to The Rock and the fans turned against that. That is when they made their legitimate choice.
But they had to make that choice because they had Rock. And Rock is, of course, going to supersede. If it was Braun Breaker, Rock would have superseded that, too. Rock was going to come in and sling dick, and he was going to be that guy to do Roman Reigns. The fact that Cody had been to the point that he's at, and the fans rejected that, honestly speaks to where they're at with Cody. I think they have chosen Cody. I truly do think they have chosen Cody. And Cody has done a lot of legwork to make sure they have chosen him.
I am not saying I'm not taking anything away from everything Cody has done. Cody has earned the spot. He's earned to be the top guy. But I think that we're the confusion that I'm having with different people in the chat or whatever, or slinging dick. I don't know what that's all about, but I think what y'all are confusing is that WWE, it's all about not you. I know you're understanding what I'm saying. I think some of the people in the chat, it's WWE. It's not. Do I think Cody deserves to be a top guy? Yes. Do I think WWE is going to dedicate the next 5 years to make him the top guy in the same fashion that they did John Cena and Roman Reigns? No.
I think we have to almost change how we're viewing top guys, because I don't know if they're gonna. I'll say this: I don't think they should. I don't think they should try to make a top guy for the next decade. I don't think the business works like that anymore. I don't think you can have, and that's why Roman needed the shift that he has needed, and that's why Roman is so part-time as well. I don't think you can make a guy who can be around for a decade and work the way that it's worked with a Cena, or with how they tried to do with Roman Reigns. Austin and Rock were top guys. Their runs were very short. They were definitely chosen as the top guys, but their runs were short. And I think that's kind of how things are working now, how they're working now today, more than it has been in the past years. And I think part of that is because, much like it was with Rock and Austin, there's so many moving parts on the other side, being AEW, on the competitive side, that weren't there when it could be, hey, let's just go with John Cena. This is our guy. Doesn't really matter what anybody else says. This is our guy. This is what we're doing. And nobody's going to tell us any differently. That's how it was with Roman for the longest time, until, again, when did it kind of change? COVID, certainly, but AEW came along and there had to be a shift in mentality. And so they shifted their mentality when it came to Roman as well.
Yeah, but like you kind of are making my argument for me that things are different now, so I don't see them dedicating, like, pushing him in the same fashion that they have pushed other top hands. Like, I feel like
Sure, but I don't.
They'll be like, Cody, you're one of the guys, like they did with Brett and Shawn. They gave, like, Brett, Shawn, Diesel, and Razor were all on the same level at one point. But Brett and Shawn were the two better guys, and they've been considered like the faces of that period in between Hogan and Austin. Hogan and Austin are the two faces. The guys in between are Brett and Shawn, and I feel like we've had John Cena, and then it went into the Roman Reigns era. I think that right now, what WWE needs is the in-between guy. And I think the best guy to be the in-between guy is Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes fits the mold of your Bret Harts. He fits the molds of your Bryan Danielson. He fits the molds of your Shawn Michaels, your CM Punks, the in-between guys.
See, I view it differently in that I don't know if there is a guy that they're going to pick for 10 years. I don't know if that is.
I think that even though Triple H is different from Vince, he's gonna pick somebody. The way they have been cultivating talent from the Performance Center, and the bulk of talent that they have, the Tiffany Strattons, your Carmelo Hayes, the Trick Williams, the Braun Breakers, they're gonna pick one of those guys to be the next guy, or at least one of the next guys. They're gonna pick one of them, and I think it's gonna be Braun Breaker.
I don't think you're picking anybody for a 10-year run of, like, this is no matter what. At least I truly hope they don't. I think that's stupid to look at it that way. Like, we're going to make this guy no matter what. I think what they're doing now is actually what they should be doing is, like, all right, who's putting in the work to do this stuff? Who are the fans behind to do this? This is who we're going with. That's how it should work. It should work as, hey, let's ride whoever the hot hand is at the time. Right now, it's Cody. It might be Cody for the next 5 years. Somebody might come along in the next 3 years. It's like, you know what? This guy is super hot. Maybe this guy should be the guy we roll with right now. And yeah, certain people are always going to be near the top of the card. Seth Rollins might not be the guy, but Seth Rollins has certainly been at the top of the helm for the last decade.
Seth Rollins been the number 2 guy. He's in a long line of number 2 guys. Randy Orton, CM Punk, Edge, like the Triple H. Like that he was the number 2 guy. Seth has been very established as that number 2 guy until Cody Rhodes came in, took that number 2 spot, and has pushing for that number 1 spot. I give him credit though, because he easily has taken that 2 spot from Seth. Seth is now settled in at a number 4 spot, really, because CM Punk took that number 3 spot from him, and now Drew has been the better character, so he has that number 3 spot.
Drew should be the guy. Drew rules.
I love Drew. Drew is one of the rare people that, and this is another case of not a lot of people like to say, not a lot of wrestlers know how to do good babyface promos. Drew McIntyre does, but Drew McIntyre is an even better heel promo, which is amazing because not that many people, if you're really good at babyface promos, you're either like good or very good as a heel promo. No, he's tremendous, an all-timer as a heel promo.
Drew does rule. Love Drew. I hope he wins all the titles except for Roman's title. I hope Roman stays the champion for the next 10 years. It'd be great if it's still just Roman 10 years from now. Like, who's going to take the mantle from Roman Reigns?
A 20-year run. I would love it. Because I would be proven right from this. And that Jimmy McElroy was right. And that Cody Rhodes is just the in-between guy.
Like, my chaos booking is they do the WWE Avengers. You bring out Undertaker. You bring out Austin. You bring out Cena. Bring out Brett. Bring out Hulk. Bring out the hologram of Bruno. Smashed, stacked. Acknowledge the tribal chief on night 2 of WrestleMania. Pin them all, Cody included, obviously. Bring out Dustin, all of them. Stardust, get someone to cosplay. I don't care. Smashed and stacked, and Roman Reigns still the undisputed WWE Universal Champion coming out of WrestleMania 40. That's what we need.
We are the ones.
I'm all in on Roman. I always will be. He rules.
I've been a Roman Reigns fan since before it was cool to be a Roman Reigns fan. I was at the Raw after WrestleMania 33 after he beat Roman Reigns when he got booed out the building, and I was the only person when people were chanting delete. I was like select. I was cheering for Roman. We had on Roman t-shirts. I've been a Roman fan since it was not cool to be a Roman fan.
Acknowledge the tribal chief, everybody. Anything you want to plug, SP3?
Check out True Hill Heat YouTube channel. Going live in like 45 minutes with Miss Chrissy Love to review Dark Side of the Ring Season 5, Episode 4, Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Oh my God. I had to watch his career again, so I'm going to talk about it. Join us live on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel as we're going to talk about that latest episode. And I'll be live tomorrow, 11:05 a.m. Eastern Time, the flagship podcast, True Hill Heat. Check us out over there. And thanks for having me, Jeremy. Next time I'll be on time.
I appreciate you, buddy. Will Chisholm says, I think the selling point of SmackDown is Jade tonight. I think that is a selling point. I think also one maybe possible reason why they're not going too heavy. We got NCAA tournament tonight. They don't have it next week. Next week is it's WrestleMania, but next week's Final Four and then the championship game on Monday. But NCAA tournament is tonight for SmackDown. Last week SmackDown still did pretty well because it had the Roman and Cody segment advertised, and it was the first weekend of the tournament. Now we're getting into Sweet 16 games, but
they did get a drop. They did have like a drop in the viewership, if I'm not mistaken, for SmackDown last week.
And the week before that was the Rock concert, so it makes sense that they would drop from that. So I think that the tournament being still this week is maybe why they're pulling back a little bit this week. Look, it's also good. Rock, Roman, Cody, Seth, that's sold, right? You know what? People are there.
The go home is going to be on Monday, so they're good on.
You do have to put some extra heat on some of these other matches. So I'm okay with Roman and Cody not taking up 25 minutes of the show to put some extra heat on some of these other matches. So I don't think it's a bad thing that these guys are not on the show. I'm sure we'll still get plenty of video packages and everything. We'll see how good the show turns out. Maybe they just didn't want to go up against MLW War Chamber, you know? Maybe that's really what it is.
Tough. That's tough competition right there, man. They made the wise choice. Do you think that we get any angle or promo on the level of the CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre promo,
No.
or the Rock Cody angle to end Raw on Monday?
No, and not a knock on anybody there, but like nobody's on that level.
Okay, then on the level of Becky and Rhea. That was the third best segment on the show, but any other show that would have been the best.
See, Bailey's good. Io, you know, she's not the promo that Rhea certainly is. So no, I don't like LA Knight and AJ Styles will probably be the hottest angle. I think LA Knight will do something, even though he's banned from the building. I suspect LA Knight will show up in some capacity, and they will do some type of angle with LA Knight and AJ Styles. The problem is, one, they don't have anybody on the level of these guys. Jimmy and Jay should really do something tonight. Like, that's where I'm looking at of like, all right, you guys got a chance to knock something out of the park here. Will they do it? Don't know. We'll see. LA Knight and AJ Styles are the other two, but they just did the arrest angle last week. That's a tough one to follow up with on that. Yeah, I don't know. Tonight feels I got low expectations for tonight. I hope I'm pleasantly surprised, but I got pretty low expectations for tonight.
Yeah, seems fair. Seems fair with tonight. And CMLL tonight. Check it out. Sure. Bryan Danielson, Blue Panther.
I assume, Louis, you're doing results for those. Thank you.
There you go.
Maybe we'll see. SP3, I appreciate you as always. Thanks for showing up. Appreciate John Alba, who showed up on very short notice. I appreciate him. Casual John Alba with the backwards hat as well. I appreciate it. And thanks for Corey for popping in, dropping some NXT scoops. Joel maybe will be back on Monday. I have no idea. Truthfully, have no idea if Joel is going to be here on Monday. If not,
I'll be here at 10. I'll be here at 10.
Main channel Monday as well.
Yeah. I'm getting it out the way. You know what? Just send me the link, even if Joel's here, so I can argue with you about something.
Main channel Monday, the beginning of WrestleMania week on Monday, the beginning of No Sleep week on Monday.
Jeremy, are you coming on True Hill Heat for our WrestleMania review? Because you were the star last year.
You guys do it the following weekend, right?
No, the following day. Well, like either like if it's Sunday. Saturday show, Sunday show, Monday.
Did I do that last year?
I think you did the Monday show. Yeah.
The Monday show?
Yeah. Because that was the one with Snoop Dogg. That was the one with Snoop Dogg. But we usually start at like 12 or 1. So
okay. I know I got to do this show the following Monday.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how tired I'm gonna be so tired.
I know. That's why I'm asking you now. That's why I was like, let me just ask him now.
I'm gonna be so tired. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. If Snoop Dogg can show up, I'll show up. We'll see. All right, SB3, I appreciate you, buddy. I don't know about FMC next week either. Even though we ended on a really good Too Hot to Handle cliffhanger. You know what we might have to do for FMC next week is just a chapter of Too Hot to Handle. Yeah. We got to give the people what they want with the Too Hot to Handle. Cares about the other stuff. We appreciate everybody in the chat. Thank you for leaving your super chats. Leave thumbs up on the video. Check out everything we got going on here on Fightful Overbooked, including coexisting with Rob and Maggie a little bit later on today, 3 p.m. Eastern. Thanks, everybody. We will see you next week. Main channel Monday. We will return. Bye, everyone. Oh, wait. SP3. You got to do the CEO dance with me. Prove you're a member of the crew and you respect the crew. CEO. There we go. Look at that. SP3 crew affiliated. Thank you, buddy. Bye, everyone. See you on Monday.